Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the one-on-one session. My name is Keisman Trainer, and I also have Mariah Powers and Jamie Black presenting with me today. We have a lot to cover today, and so our goal is really just to provide you with everything that you need to hopefully make your jobs easier when it comes to managing your brokers and their agents. There's always something to learn when it comes to membership policies and procedures, right? Especially when we start talking about NAR's variable dues and managing brokers and agents for compliance and managing secondary out-of-state members and making sure there's a financial record and financial payment for each realtor member as well as our non-members in M1. And we just want to make sure that you are aware of the procedures that we have in place for those members that qualify for certain exemptions, such as a LIFRO or commercial agents and our honorary members for life, right? And so before we go into more detail about membership policies and procedures, we're going to have Mariah give us an update on the honorary member for life process, as well as important resources that are available for membership staff. Take it over, Mariah.
Thank you so much, Keisman. My name is Mariah Powers, and I am the Membership Data Coordinator here at C.A.R. And I just had a few things to go over with you all. So first off, I want to talk about the Honorary Member for Life designation. I'm sure most of you are familiar with it, but I just want to go over it again. So members who are eligible and approved for the Honorary Member for Life designation will have their state association dues waived for life. In order to qualify, the applicant must be an active C.A.R. member for a minimum of 25 years and at least 75 years old. The process. So all applications need to be submitted by a local association staff member by September 6, 2024. The application can be found on our C.A.R. website. It is super important to note that we do not accept applications from individual members. We require the local association to submit it on their behalf. This is something I'm super excited for. These are new resources that we've created for local association membership staff. The first thing is the membership resources for association staff page on the C.A.R. website. So on here, you'll be able to find a ton of helpful documents, such as the newly created Membership at a Glance and the Complete Guide for Associations. We also have certification forms, membership trainings, contact information, so much more on this page that we think will be really helpful for membership staff. This is a new document that we just created. It's called the Membership at a Glance. We've taken all the important membership dates for this next year and we put it on one document. We just thought that this would help us all stay organized and on the same page with all the deadlines and anything going on in 2024. And then this last document is actually a living document. So it's the Complete Guide for Associations. On here, we talk about the BCT, financials, membership, and so much more. So over the last couple of months, we've just been taking any questions that we've been getting from local associations, and we've been putting it right into this document. And as I mentioned, this is a living document. So as we get more questions, we're going to keep putting them on here. And we just hope that this will be a great resource for membership staff. And that's all for me. Now I'll go ahead and pass back over to Keisman. Thank you.
Thank you, Mariah. Thank you for sharing that great information. So what should we be focused on for the next 2 months or the next month and a half, right? So we should be focused on managing the NAR variable dues process, preparing for the upcoming February 29th dues delinquency deadline. We should be focused on submitting financial records and payments to C.A.R. and preparing for the upcoming March 31st NMSP compliance score deadline. So let's talk about the NAR variable dues policy because everything functions around this policy. The variable dues is probably about 95% of our job, which is 95% of what we do here at C.A.R. So let's talk about that for a minute. So the NAR variable dues formula is the non-member dues obligation of a broker. The broker must pay a non-member fee for each non-realtor licensee tied to the broker directly or indirectly. So what does that mean, right? Directly means the agents are under the broker's license, and indirectly means the agents are under the corporate license. Years ago, the brokers could actually hide agents under their corporate license. But now that we have the tools in place like the BCT and the daily updates from DRE, we can now monitor and manage the variable dues policy on an even playing field. So who is responsible for enforcing the NAR variable dues? Well, the broker's primary association is responsible for the collection of dues, as well as billing the broker for non-member fees, also making sure the LIFROs and MLOs are under the broker's primary association and not the broker's secondary association. The primary association is responsible for collecting signed LIFRO and MLO certification forms from the broker, and that's done on an annual basis. The primary association is responsible for creating LIFRO and MLO records in M1 if they don't already exist in M1. Now remember, this is the broker's primary association's responsibility and not the secondary association. Now, if you're wondering, well, who is the primary association? Well, the primary association is where the broker pays their C.A.R. and N.A.R. dues. All right, so let's talk about the upcoming February 29th dues delinquency deadline and what that means for you. So what does the bylaw say about the dues delinquency deadline? Well, it says dues for all members is payable annually in advance of the first day of January. It says non-paying members can be inactivated for non-payment within 1 month of the due date, which is January 31st, and then terminated within 2 months of the due date, which is basically February 29th. So that's coming from the bylaws. So the dues delinquency deadline is a simple two-step process, and it really is simple because step one just requires the association to inactivate all unpaid active members on or before February 29th. The best thing to do is to inactivate well in advance of February 29th. The second step in the process is to submit C.A.R. dues payments for all renewing members through e-commerce. And you also want to make sure that you're uploading the financial records to M1 by the 15th and the end of each month. The good news is the associations are already doing this process, so it makes this two-step process even easier. And so really it's a two-step process and it's really simple. So let's talk about what happens when you inactivate or terminate unpaid active members. Well, when you inactivate or terminate unpaid active members, they automatically become NMSPs on the BCT. And these licensees will have a negative impact on your NMSP score when they're inactivated because they automatically, again, become NMSPs. All right, so March 1st, the $50 late fee goes into effect. So anyone that you inactivate on February 29th for non-payment, if they decide to pay their dues on March 1st, April, May, June, July, those licensees will incur a $50 late fee. Again, the late fee is something that we do not waive. And so please let your members know that if they're late, C.A.R. is not going to waive that late fee. All right, so now I am going to turn it over to Jamie Black from our C.A.R. Staff Accounting Department, and she is going to talk about the financial process.
Thank you, Kiesman. I'm with the C.A.R. finance team here to talk to you about the dues financial process, along with the record keeping and reporting requirements as they apply to campaign filing laws. The C.A.R. finance team provides support to help your association maintain compliance with campaign laws. We run a program that compares M1 and e-commerce financial records to reveal discrepancies and/or missing information. If there are discrepancies or missing information within the two systems, we will send you a reconciliation report showing the items to resolve, with the goal of bringing your e-commerce and M1 records in sync. A dues payment includes a $69 mandatory assessment, which is a contribution to the C.A.R. political action committees, thus necessitating compliance with campaign laws. Campaign laws require that all political contributions be deposited into the PACs within 30 days of receipt and must be properly tracked by contributor. To satisfy the 30-day requirement, locals must submit all political monies to C.A.R. on the 15th and last day of each month. Record-keeping requirements mean that M1 financial records and e-commerce payment records must always match, and the C.A.R. finance team runs comparisons between the two systems to reveal discrepancies. Discrepancies between the two systems can be of three types. There can be missing M1 records. That's when e-commerce payments happen without an associated M1 record. There can be missing e-commerce payments. That's when M1 records do not have associated e-commerce payments. There can be mismatched records, where M1 records have a different amount than their associated e-commerce payments. And again, the C.A.R. finance team sends you reconciliation reports informing you of discrepancies. To comply with record-keeping requirements, we need your EFT details so that we can match your e-commerce payments to individual contributors in M1. When you send an EFT payment, use the Excel template that we provide. There's a picture of it there in blue. Notice that it has the billing year, association ID, association name, EC number, member number, the amount, and the type of payment. If you are a Rapatoni association, you can provide CASFIN reports in PDF format. However, you must indicate the EC numbers that tie to the totals on each report so that we can load those into the matching program. There are some things to watch out for that will ensure efficiency and accuracy in processing e-commerce transactions. Make sure that the billing year field is filled in accurately for all e-commerce transactions and is never left blank. For EFT transactions, please clearly indicate the billing year in the comment field. Do not send e-commerce payments with multiple billing years in single transactions. Every transaction must be only for the billing year indicated. If you are sending EFTs and you have a 2023 and 2024 amount to send separate EFTs for each billing year. E-commerce transactions must be identified by individual contributor. Do not send e-commerce transactions under a staff member's name. For EFTs, make sure that you are sending dues to Bank 1, RAF to Bank 2, and HAF to Bank 3. You can find a short video instruction on YouTube called How to Submit EFT Payments in Nerds E-Commerce, or contact me later and I will send you the link. A finance team member will alert you if any of these issues occur for your association and will advise how to resolve. This is a reminder to send separate EFT payments for dues, RAF, and HAF using the correct bank, Bank 1, Bank 2, and Bank 3. Monthly dues statements are posted online at car.org, and you can contact Edwin or Jamie with questions. I have the team contact information coming up on the last slide. This slide is to tell you that e-commerce bulk payments and EFT payments are the same thing. You might hear them called one or the other. And they do not have individual contributor identifying information, which is why we need you to send your EFT details. These are your contacts in C.A.R. Finance. Please reach out with questions or concerns. Again, we're here to assist with campaign law requirements. Thank you for viewing, and I'm handing it back to Keesman.
Thank you for sharing that great information, Jamie. I'm going to continue to talk about the financial process just a little bit. So the question is, what happens when a member transfers to another association before the financial record is uploaded to M1? So again, what happens if an association does not upload a member's financial record to M1 before a member transfers to another association? Well, the previous association will have to transfer the record back to their association and add the financial record to M1. The next step is C.A.R.'s finance department will need to process the financial record before the record can be transferred back to the new association. The BCT will continue to show the member unpaid until these steps are completed. So what needs to happen? Well, when the association collects membership dues from a member, the financial record must be uploaded to M1 within 15 days or less. This will help resolve this issue and this process, or these processes that the associations will have to go through to resolve this issue. So let's talk about how to confirm if your financial record uploaded to M1 successfully. So the first step in the process is to locate the member on M1, and you'll just click on the member's NERDS ID number. And then from here, you'll scroll down to member dues payment. And then once you scroll down to member dues payment, you'll see the information that appears here on the screen. And you really just want to make sure that the payment type, billing year, and payment amount is correct. And the reason why this is correct is because the payment type code that is shown on the screen as TAT is a payment type code that C.A.R. will accept. This is 2024, and so the billing year here shows 2024, and the payment amount shows the 2024 payment. As you know, C.A.R. increased their dues for 2024, and so our dues is 231. And so this record was uploaded to M1 successfully, which means our finance department, when they receive this financial record, they should be able to process this record in our system successfully, and the BCT should get updated to now reflect this member as paid. So these are the financial payment type codes that C.A.R. will accept. Of course, the payment type code that we're expecting is STAT, but there are some associations that use other payment type codes. And I won't go over all of these, but just so that you can see on the screen that these are the payment type codes that we will accept for C.A.R., also the payment type codes for the non-member payment, and then you also have the payment type codes that NAR will accept as well. I also want to mention for your non-members, for those associations that are manually adding non-member records, non-member financial records to M1, what you will find is there is no payment type code for NON when you're manually adding the financial record to M1 for your non-members. You're going to use the payment type code STAT. The reason why this record will process successfully on our end is because the member is going to show a member type of N, and so our system will know to process this record as a non-member payment. So these are the correct payment amounts for 2024. Our dues are prorated on an annual basis. And again, our dues was increased for 2024. And so it is important that you make sure that your systems is set up with the dues payments that you see on the screen. The reason why this is important is because if it's off by a cent, our system will actually kick it out, and your member will still show unpaid on the BCT until this is resolved on M1. And so you just want to make sure This information is in your system. And also when you're manually adding a record to M1, you want to make sure that you enter the correct dollar amount. And these are the dollar amounts that you will use when you're entering in a financial record on M1. All right, so let's talk about the non-member fee. So the non-member fees for C.A.R and N.A.R it has changed because our dues has increased. So has N.A.R. And so the non-member fee for C.A.R is $231. The non-member fee for N.A.R is $156. The non-member fees are never prorated. Local AORs are not required to collect a $200 new member fee for any new non-members or a $50 late fee for the non-member assessment. So this is important to remember. Also, 2024, as I mentioned, our dues has increased. The C.A.R dues is $231. The dues are prorated on a monthly basis. We prorate on the full amount of the $231. N.A.R dues is $201. The dues proration for N.A.R applies to the $156 and not the $45 assessment. And also remember, C.A.R has increased their new member fee for 2024. And so now the new member fee is actually $200. So make sure when you're collecting dues payments and new member fees from your new members, you want to make sure that you include the $200. You never want to have to go back and ask the member for additional money. So this is important to remember. All right, so how should payment records appear in M1? So there is a payment type code for each payment record, and therefore the payment should not be combined into one payment. And on the screen here, you can just see an example of the correct payment record and how it should appear in M1. And so there's a payment record for C.A.R dues, and there's a payment record for late fees. And as you can see, the C.A.R dues is $231 with the payment type code of STAT and a $50 late fee, which is under payment type code LATE. The incorrect way to enter this into M1 is to combine the $231 and the $50 and add it under the payment type code STAT where it shows $281. Excuse me. Our system is going to kick this out. It's actually going to come in as an error. And so the member will still show unpaid on the BCT until the association goes into M1 and actually separates out the payment so that you have the C.A.R dues separated with STAT and the late fee separated with LATE. Because again, our system is looking for specific dollar amounts. All right, so let's talk about the dues proration policy. So there's a lot on this screen, and basically we're just trying to identify the difference between a brand new member versus a renewing member. And I'll just read the first caption, which says, a realtor member who paid 2023 dues is considered a renewing member in 2024, right? A renewing member that pays late in 2024 does not get the benefit of paying the prorated dues amount because renewing members pay the full year dues no matter when they decide to renew in 2024. So think about that for a second. You have a member that paid 2023 dues, 2024, they're considered a renewing member. Let's just say you inactivate the member for non-payment on February 29th, right? And then the member decides that they want to rejoin in August. That member's dues is not prorated because they're not considered a new member. They're still considered a renewing member for the entire 2024 billing year. And so you would charge them the full year dues for C.A.R, the full year dues for N.A.R, and you're also going to include the $50 late fee. All right, so let's talk about new members and how that works. So a licensee who was a LIFRO, MLO, or non-member salesperson in 2023 and then decides to become a realtor member in 2024 is actually considered a brand new member because they did not pay dues in 2023. And so the membership dues for these individuals is prorated based on the join date, and the member is charged a $200 new member fee. And I'm not going to go through all of this. You can actually go through this information on your own time. But again, the dues proration policy was established to benefit brand new members and not renewing members. Okay, so let's talk about the upcoming NMSP compliance score deadline. So as you know, we have 3 compliance checkpoints each year: March 31st, August 31st, and December 1st. So 97% is the compliance objective. So you must have a compliance score of 97% or higher on March 31st. The focus should be on your delinquent NMSPs and NMSPs that will be delinquent within the next 45 days. So the brokers also have the following options for their delinquent NMSPs. The broker can pay the non-member fee. The broker can certify the agent as a LIFRO by signing the LIFRO certification form. The agents can also choose to join as a realtor member, or the broker can choose to drop the agent's license, which puts the agent's license in a non-working status, which is a licensed MBA. So what prevents associations from maintaining compliance, right? Delinquent records is what keeps associations from remaining compliant. And so in this example, you can see there's 2 ways that you can identify your delinquent agents. So if you look at number 1, you can actually click on the number 6 under the delinquent section, or number 2, you can click the red section, which is also the delinquent section. And once you click on either one of those, it's actually going to display the list of delinquent licensees. And this gives you an opportunity to reach out to the brokers regarding these agents. And so brokers must receive a notification regarding their NMSPs before you decide to inactivate the broker for not resolving these delinquent issues. And so what you want to do is you want to make sure you get a timely communication out to the broker so that he can actually get these issues resolved. And so just going back to what I mentioned when we were talking about the February 29th dues delinquency deadline and when is the right time to inactivate, right? You just want to make sure that you inactivate well in advance of the February 29th delinquency deadline, because you're going to have the March 31st compliance score deadline coming up really fast. And so you just want to make sure that you inactivate soon so you can get a communication out to your brokers so that your brokers have enough time to resolve these issues before the March 31st compliance deadline. And so again, these are the options that are available to your brokers when you send out the communication. So the compliance deadline means in order for the association to become compliant, the broker will have the following options. The broker can pay the non-member fee. The broker can remove the agent's license. Agent can join as a realtor member, or the broker can certify the agent as a LIFRO. So those are the options that are available to the broker. Also leading up to the compliance score deadline, local associations must collect a signed 2024 LIFRO and MLO certification form for all active LIFROs and MLOs in M1 by the March 31st compliance score deadline. Again, this must be done on an annual basis. All right, so let's talk about the LIFRO admin fee. I know over the past few years, or maybe even longer, associations have always asked, can we charge an admin fee for LIFRO agents? And the question is, and to answer that question is, it is yes. Local associations can charge a justifiable fee to cover the cost of setting up and maintaining the LIFRA records. Local associations, this part is important. Local associations will be in charge of their own collection process, and it will not be a process that C.A.R. will enforce. And so what does that mean? That means if you're having issues collecting, let's just say if you're charging a $50 admin fee or $25 admin fee for your lip rolls, and you're unable to collect that fee, you will not reach out to C.A.R. for assistance. This is a process that you will manage on your end. Now, remember, if you're having issues collecting admin fees for your LIFROs, keep in mind the LIFRO is still considered a non-member. And so that means if you're unable to collect that fee, you're just going to leave that individual as a non-member, and you're going to bill the broker for the non-member fee. That is the process. The variable dues process remains the same, even if you're charging a LIFRO fee. All right, so this is a lot of information on this screen, and basically you can read this in your spare time, but it really just talks about the LIFRO requirements and establishing a separate entity for your LIFROs. You just want to make sure that your active LIFRO agents are tied to a separate entity and not tied to their broker's realtor office. All right. So here's one of the things that has come up quite often when it comes to the compliance score, the calculation. I wanted to add this in here so that you can actually see how the system is actually calculating the scores, the NMSP scores. And so it's really a simple solution. And what you're doing is you're just taking the paid NMSPs, and you're going to add that to the delinquent NMSP. So if you take 2 plus 9 and you're just going to divide it by the paid NMSPs, that will give you your NMSP score. So again, it's the paid plus delinquent, which is 11. And you're going to divide that by the paid NMSPs, which is 2. So 2 divided by 11 gives you 18%. And that's how our system calculates the NMSP score. All right, so let's talk about non-member financial records. So non-member financial records can appear under the broker's records, and it can also appear under the non-member's record. So in this example, I'm going to show you a payment, a non-member payment, and what it looks like when it appears under the broker's record. So when you're under the broker's record, you're just going to scroll down to member dues payment. And if the payment is under the broker's record, you will see a separate payment type. And here you can see the payment type shows STATN, and the N is for a non-member. The STAT is actually the broker's dues payment that he paid. And so in order to see who this broker is paying for, you'll just click on the STATN, and it's going to take you to view the financial record. And so this record was actually added incorrectly because the incurring ID field, the first name and the last name contains the broker's information. And so C.A.R. doesn't know who to apply the payment to. So in order for C.A.R. to determine who the broker is paying for, the incurring member ID field, the first name, the last name must be populated with the non-member's information. And so this is how the financial record should appear when the payment is under the broker's record. And so here you can see this record is correct because the incurring member ID field the first name and the last name contains the non-member's information. And so now C.A.R. can actually apply the payment to this non-member. We'll also process this record in our membership system, and then you'll see the non-member payment appear on the BCT under this non-member. Again, this is how the payment appears under the non-member's record when the payment is applied under the non-member's record on M1. All right, so let's talk about managing secondary out-of-state members. So the first thing that you want to do is you want to begin with find a member. So once you have found the member in M1, you want to scroll down to the secondary information section, and you want to click on the drop down arrow to open up the record. So if the member holds secondary membership with other associations, the information will appear on this screen as well. And so to add a secondary record, you're just going to click the Add Secondary Association link on the side. So here's what's important. C.A.R. requires all fields to be updated except for the member subclass field. Also important to remember is the office record must be a California office and not the out-of-state office record. We've seen where associations will put the members out-of-state office. They're pretty much just duplicating what's in the M1 system, but you want to make sure that you put the California office in the office ID field. Once the record has been added successfully, then you want to send an email to me, keisman@car.org, and Mariah at mariahs@car.org, so that we can complete the process by adding C.A.R. as the secondary state association. Now, if this step is missed, the member will not have access to zip forms. And so this is really important to remember, because if you add your association as secondary and then you forget to contact me or Mariah to add C.A.R. as the state association, then the member will not have access to zip forms. All right, so let's talk about a member showing in the wrong primary state association. So here in this example, you can see that this member is showing in the wrong primary state association. This member is actually primary with the Burbank Association, but it looks like Burbank transferred this member from the Georgia Association, but they simply forgot to add C.A.R. As the state association. So how do we resolve this issue, right? So it's really simple. So what you want to do is you want to start at the top. You just want to click on first finding the member on M1, and then you're going to click the transfer member link at the top. So when you do that, what you're going to do is where it says assign new primary local association, it's going to have your 4-digit NERDS ID number, right? What you're going to do is you're going to blank that field out. You're going to remove your 4-digit NERDS ID number. And then under assign new primary state association, you're going to put in 0808, which is for California. And so once you do that, once you add the 0808, then you can click transfer member, and you will see where this member now shows California Association as their new primary state association, and that will resolve the issue. All right, so let's talk about how to add a payment record to M1 for an out-of-state secondary member. So to add a dues payment record for an out-of-state secondary member, you just want to click on Add Dues Payment link in the top right-hand corner, right? Once you do that, the next step you want to do is you want to click where it says Billing Association ID. This is important because the system automatically defaults to the out-of-state association. So after you click the drop-down menu, you can select your association. Then you will see C.A.R.'s payment type codes, and you can add the financial records for your out-of-state secondary members. So this was also a simple process. It's just remembering the billing association needs to reflect your association and not the out-of-state association. All right, so let's talk about the DR information appearing on the BCT. So where is the BCT getting the DR information from, right? So the office contact DR field in the office record on M1 dictates who appears in the DR section on the BCT. The reason why this is important is because we get a lot of calls from associations that will say, hey, I have this non-member appearing on my BCT under the wrong DR. The reason why this is important is because our information is pulling from the office record from M1. And so we want to just make sure that your members are appearing in the correct office on M1. All right, so let's talk about brokers operating as broker associates. So a broker associate is a licensed real estate broker working as a salesperson for another responsible broker. So who is responsible for the non-members tied to a broker associate when the broker associate is working in the capacity of a salesperson for another responsible broker, meaning the broker associate is not a DR. So who is responsible for his or her agents? Well, the answer is the broker associate's responsible broker is responsible for all the agents in the firm, including the broker associates in MSPs. The reason why this is important is because there are times where you will have a broker associate that has agents under their license, and those agents will appear on the BCT under the broker associate's DR's information. And so if you're sending out a communication to that broker regarding those agents, that DR is going to say, I have no clue who these agents are. And that's because those agents are actually tied to the broker associate. So this is just something to keep in mind when you're noticing certain discrepancies on the BCT. All right, so let's talk about the dues refund process. So actually, you can find the dues refund process on CAR.org. The refund request is located under the C.A.R.'s Dues Billing Compliance and Resources section. This is a new and improved process for you to submit refund requests on behalf of members for RAF contributions, HAF contributions, and C.A.R. dues. As you know, C.A.R. dues is non-refundable, but there are instances where they do qualify for a refund. And so this is where you will come to request the refund. You'll use the request form for C.A.R. to review your request details, and you can actually work with our finance team regarding any refund request that you have submitted. So again, that's not something that the membership department is in charge of. Our finance team is handling this, and it's all done electronically, which makes the process a lot easier. All right, and that concludes our presentation. And so I just want to thank you for your time. If you have any questions after reviewing this presentation, please feel free to reach out to me or to Mariah. Also, if you have any questions outside of membership, that's a finance question, you want to make sure you reach out to Jamie Black, and we will all be more than happy to assist you. So I hope you have a wonderful day, and we'll talk soon. Bye now.